What if I told you that deep in the heart of Africa, a steel revolution is taking shape, led not by a corporation, but by a 36-year-old revolutionary soldier? Welcome to Burkina Faso, a nation once defined by ancient blacksmiths and iron furnaces, now rising again with fire, vision, and a leader who refuses to bow to foreign control. Ibrahim Traoré is not just defending his country from terrorism, he is building the bones of a new economy. Local smelters are turning on. Communities are forging tools, bridges, and even defense infrastructure from their own soil. While the West races to dominate Africa's resources, Traoré is quietly laying the foundation for self-reliance, one steel beam at a time. In a country that used to import nearly all its steel from China, Turkey, and Ghana, something extraordinary is happening. Could this be the start of a steel-powered Pan-African awakening? Burkina Faso, like many African nations, spends over $150 million a year importing steel, most of it from China, Turkey, Ghana, and Ukraine. Yet, beneath Burkina Faso's soil lies iron ore. The ancient ferrous metallurgy sites of Drilla, Tawega, Kindabo, and Yamane are UNESCO-protected landmarks that prove Africans were mastering metallurgy over 2,000 years ago. In its villages, blacksmiths have mastered metalwork for centuries. They crafted spears for warriors, hoes for farmers, and instruments for ceremonies. Their furnaces were symbols of creation and transformation. The French saw little value in preserving African knowledge systems. By reclaiming metallurgy as part of Burkina Faso's identity, Traoré is reconnecting modern development with cultural pride. Imagine those same children training to become the engineers of tomorrow's steel plants. This is not nostalgia, it's strategy. Steel products for bridges, rails, fences, rebar, even farming equipment come from China, Ukraine, Turkey, and South Africa. Instead of developing local industries, they imported French tools and built extractive economies. Over time, the iron furnaces fell silent. This is Africa Today, and in this special report, we uncover how a forgotten legacy of iron is being reborn into a weapon of sovereignty. Under the watchful eye of Captain Ibrahim Traoré, a nation cannot call itself sovereign if it imports its tools of development. That's why his government began laying the foundation for a domestic steel renaissance. Roads, bridges, railways, buildings, water tanks, military equipment, even the tools used in farming and surgery, all rely on steel. Any country without a solid steel industry is forced to depend on the industrialized world to build even the most basic infrastructure. Steel is more than just metal. It's the backbone of progress. This is the silent economic trap Africa has been stuck in for decades. So why isn't Burkina Faso making its own steel? But under Ibrahim Traoré, that story is changing fast. Using iron ore from nearby sites, this facility is expected to produce steel bars for construction and agricultural tools. The young revolutionary isn't just building an army. He is building a nation with its own hands, materials, and backbone. The answer lies in a mixture of colonial legacy, post-independence neglect, foreign interference, and lack of investment. The military is partnering with these efforts to ensure national infrastructure, roads, barracks, water systems, uses Burkina-made steel. Long before skyscrapers or superpowers, Burkina Faso was already shaping iron. This move is forcing contractors to work with local steel providers. Back then, traditional blacksmiths didn't just serve as toolmakers, they were spiritual and political figures. But with colonization came destruction. Today, Ibrahim Traoré is reigniting those flames, not in ritual, but in industry. Imagine schoolchildren learning how their ancestors smelted iron before Europe had industrial factories. Burkina Faso imports nearly everything it needs to build, a consequence of underdevelopment and external control. Under AFCFTA, the African Continental Free Trade Area, countries like Burkina Faso can trade steel across borders tariff-free. This import addiction is not just economic, it's strategic. Every ton of steel bought abroad is foreign currency lost, jobs outsourced, and power surrendered. When the Russia-Ukraine war disrupted global supply chains, Burkina Faso's steel imports took a massive hit. Projects were delayed. Prices surged. Inflation followed. And Algeria, with export experience, to unite in building a continental steel powerhouse. It was a wake-up call. Let no bridge in Ghana, no tower in Senegal, no dam in Mali be built with the chains of foreign steel. Captain Traoré knew that true independence must go beyond flags and speeches. As production scales, the country is poised to become a regional steel hub, especially for the Sahel, where desertification and insecurity have slowed other industries. This includes encouraging small-scale iron mining cooperatives, attracting Pan-African investment into local steel smelters, training youth in metallurgy and mechanical engineering, creating trade zones to export steel to Niger, Mali, and Togo under AFCFTA. This is a quiet revolution, but one with monumental consequences for Africa's future. Citizens are volunteering in cleanup campaigns for factory sites. Students are lining up to study metallurgy. Local investors are pooling funds to co-own mini-smelters. Traoré's steel strategy isn't just a dream, it's becoming a blueprint. In Fata Ngorma, a pilot project for a solar-powered mini-steel plant is underway. It is the return of a civilization that once forged kingdoms with nothing but earth, fire, and willpower. This may sound small, but it's game-changing. Local blacksmiths are being retrained to operate modern furnaces. Young graduates from technical colleges are now entering apprenticeship programs to become steel technicians. We must pick up the hammer ourselves. There's also a policy shift happening. The government has mandated that public infrastructure projects must source at least 30% of materials locally. A country that builds its own infrastructure builds its own destiny. Meanwhile, partnerships are being explored with Malian and Nigerian engineering firms to create a regional Sahel steel belt, where raw materials and expertise can circulate under AFCFTA. In simple terms, Traoré is reducing import dependency, creating jobs, reviving traditional industries with modern tech, building a regional export hub, and most importantly, he's doing it on Burkinabe terms. While Burkina Faso is landlocked, it is far from isolated. This means that Traoré's vision isn't limited to national use. Already, steel bars and sheets processed in Burkina Faso are being exported to Mali, Togo, Benin, and Niger. Traoré has also pushed for the creation of a Pan-African steel consortium, calling on nations like Guinea, rich in iron ore, Nigeria, with refining capacity. In one fiery speech, Traoré said, "If we must build Africa with African hands, then let our steel be African too." These words are not just rhetoric. They reflect a bold vision where economic unity matches political independence. But let's be clear, this path is not easy. Traoré's steel revolution faces serious hurdles. Infrastructure gaps, reliable electricity, and transport remain scarce in many areas. Sabotage, elites and foreign firms used to import profits resist local production. Funding constraints. Global banks rarely fund African industrial dreams unless Western companies control them. Media blackout. Much of the international press focuses only on Traoré's military actions, ignoring his economic reforms. Despite this, local communities are rallying. This is more than a government plan. It's a popular movement. Captain Ibrahim Traoré understands something many leaders forget. That development is not given, it is built. With every furnace relit, with every bar of iron shaped by Burkinabe hands, the nation steps further away from dependency and closer to dignity. The rebirth of the steel industry is not just about metal, it's about mentality. For Burkina Faso, this is not the return of an industry. Traoré's challenge to the continent is loud and clear. We must not wait for others to build Africa. As Burkina Faso revives its ancient iron wisdom and merges it with modern engineering, a blueprint emerges, not just for one country, but for a continent seeking liberation through production. This is Africa today, and this is the steel revolution you want to hear about on mainstream media, but it is shaping Africa as tomorrow.